Foxy Grady.
What's up, guys? Jetta Beats back with another video. And today I'm gonna teach y'all how to sample. So there are so many different ways to sample. Like, I know one specific way that I think is the easiest for me, but I know some people like use like the little drum pads to sample, or sample using Slice X. That's perfectly fine, but I'm just going to show you the way I think is the easiest to sample. All right, let's get into it. So right here is the sample I chose out by LTD. It's called Love Ballad. You've probably heard this before. Alright, so I'm not gonna play the whole song, but basically I'm gonna show you the part that I want to sample. So the first thing that I do is I go through the sample and I figure out which part I want to use. But to do that, I open something called Edison. Edison is where I chop up the sample. So you'll open Edison, it'll pop up like this. And then we'll get to chopping. First things first, I just want to find where I want to start. I want to start right here. It's important to start on the first beat, so you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll show you what I mean. See, so I started on that first beat so that I can count. And the important thing to do is count to make sure you start and end at the same place. It's also important that you click this little thing right here, because if you don't click that, then it's not going to loop around. So let's try to make sure it's on beat. I'll zoom in real quick to make sure it starts perfectly. I think I'm gonna just take that part, so let me try to make sure that it's perfectly on beat. See that? So almost right, gotta tweak it a little bit so it's perfectly starts. So I think that was a little late, so let me drag this in. 2, 3, 4. A little late, let me start a little earlier. And this is a pretty easy sample, but some are much harder. A little bit early. Alright, that's pretty good. I like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the playlist and drag that in using this tool right here. Drag that in. So drag this in right here, and then there's my sample. So I think the hardest part is getting your sample to be on beat, because alright, you got your sample, you know it ends on time, but how are you going to match that tempo? So what I usually do is I drag this tempo up here. I drag it so that it's at the end, right? So if it's 8 count, I know it's going to end at 9 because it's 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, 4 beat, 5 beat, you know, all the way up to 8, but it ends at the 9. So I make sure it stops at this 9 right here. So I'm just going to stretch it out and then test to make sure that it fits. You gotta be perfectly right there. So you can even drag this tiny part right here to make sure it's perfectly on beat. Be stretch. All right, perfect. So we're about 8:30. We'll say 8:05. All right, so let's make sure this tempo is good. Alright, as you can hear, the tempo wasn't perfect, but that's because when you're dealing with old songs, you have live drummers, and live drummers, they're not perfect robots like the computer, so it's going to be a little bit of variation, but once we add the beat, it just sounds nice. So the next thing I like to do is take the sample and open it up, and make sure that I stretch the sample out to 9. This makes it so that I can change the tempo without changing, you know, the song, so without messing anything up. Now I can change this tempo to, let's say, maybe what's the tempo? I'm gonna go to like 144. That's a good hip-hop tempo, right? And then from there I got my beat. I can pitch this up. It's a little bit too high. And usually in better samples, what you would do is, you know, change it up, maybe take a different part of the song. But for this sample, I'm gonna keep it simple and just loop that all the way through. I like how that sounds. And then from there, you just build on your beat. You know, that's a sampling portion. Now you just gotta make sure, you know, it sounds good when you add that beat in. So I'll give you an example of the beat I want to put onto this, and then you tell me what you think. Oh, my bad. I forgot. Samples are super loud, so make sure you turn that sample down. Alright, so of course this needs tons of work. It's a little slow for me. I'm gonna take it up to maybe 147. Pitch up. Another thing I like to do with my sample to make it sound, you know, more ominous is I put it into my mixer. Hit Control L, make sure you have the double click selected, hit Control L, come to the mixer, and then I like to put what I call a low pass filter. You can use different things. I'll use Fruity Love Filter. All I did was open up Fruity Love Filter in the mixer. Put the low pass filter on. You can drag it up or down however much you want, and then you get a filter. Then I can tune my 808s to match with the song, and then we're good. So of course, you know, that needs some work. Got to tune them 808s. But for the general sampling part, that's about it. Just loop that sample through, do what you feel, you know, you need to do. to, you know, make that sample sound the way you want it to. Everybody can, you know, sample differently, but that's the easiest I think it is. So yeah, let me know if you want me to go into like another sample, maybe go more in depth, because I do have some deeper samples. And yeah, suggest any videos you want me to make, like and subscribe to. Really appreciate it, trying to get off the ground. But yeah, thank you. I'm out.
You got Jenna on the